We are examining the situation in Gabon, the coup that was staged in Gabon recently. Mutinous soldiers claim to have taken over power in Gabon, dissolving all institutions in that country shortly after the results of the presidential elections were read, declaring Ali Bongo as winner with over 60% vote as against the opposition leader, and of course the coup leaders are saying that Ali Bongo is under house arrest in a video that went viral, apparently coming from the residence of the president Ali Bongo. He was seen calling on people to make some noise, but the population instead took to the streets of the capital singing the national anthem, and that will be our lone topic for tonight's edition of Prime R with our panelists or regular panelists who are already seated in the studio this evening to discuss on that issue. It should be recalled that this is the eighth in so many, or reading from so many sources that are based or are in Gabon or familiar with the situation in Gabon. Michael Ndimacho, or Dr. Michael Ndimacho, is with us in the studio. He is a lecturer with the Catholic University in Douala. Good evening, doctor, and welcome.
Thanks so much, Mr. Lasha. Thanks for inviting me. Please permit me greet all the Noni people, nationally and internationally, and to thank them especially for the wonderful AGM that they hosted under the banner of Alliance of Noni Villages Development Association and other. It was a great event and a great venue to commune with our friends and to showcase the Noni culture to the whole world. And thank also especially to my major Prime for being there and for being with us and for helping us be able to say to the world that Noni culture stands tall too in the world. So thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome, Doctor. The pleasure is equally shared. Hope the information has reached the right quarter. We equally have with us Ndiwum Emmanuela, who is of the civil society. He is joining us on tonight's edition of the program. Once again, good evening, Ndiwum, and welcome.
Good evening, Lasha, Kingsley. Good evening to the viewers of Prime R. Permit me say a special good evening to Ali Bongo of Gabon. A special one to Olegi Brice of Gabon. And a big special one to the citizens of Gabon. Tonight we are talking about Gabon. I want to start with this quote. When dictatorship reaches its peak, if you are not very careful, you will end up dictating to your own self. And that is exactly what has happened in Gabon. I hope other dictators who are following the program tonight start thinking of how to leave the room and go out through the door than to finally leave and go out through the window. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you too for coming. We equally have Jarvis, who will be joining us very soon in the studio alongside Alex and Nguepi, who is an active militant of the SDA political party. In the meantime, we begin with Dr. Michael Ndimacho. Doctor, when you woke up this morning, it happened at about 5 a.m. The news spread like wildfire. So many people could not believe until when the military announced. They saw images coming from Gabon since internet was completely cut off and nobody could actually have the situation or what was going on in Gabon. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction, Lasha, of course, you say 5 a.m. because the whole night my ears were on the ground to know what is happening in Gabon, because since Ali Bongo took over in 2009, I've been very specially interested in Ali Bongo. Two, given that there is an opposition who came out, who contested Ali Bongo in 2016. He is called Jean Ping, and I took interest in Jean Ping, especially for one thing, because Jean Ping actually was the chairman of the African Union during the time of the NATO raid in Libya when Gaddafi was overthrown, and he was the chairman of the African Union, and he endorsed that action that the NATO and Europe and whatever took. So I've been taking special, interest in issues in Gabon. But then this issue happened at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I got it.
But before then, what even provoked the mutiny soldier the more is the fact that the results were being read at 3 a.m.
Exactly. That is just what I wanted to say. That the results were read very late. After the results we finished reading at 4 a.m. and 30 minutes afterward, at 4:30, the ministry took over. And what is interesting about it is that it is as if it was something that is already planned, was well planned, because you actually found there was really nothing about saying that it's a military coup d'etat. Let's call it a peaceful coup d'etat, as we say, because this one was like something planned and then peacefully handed to the military to take over. And I want to let Africans know that it is not yet time to jubilate as far as the so-called coup d'etat in Gabon is concerned. It's not yet time to jubilate. We need to have a careful study of this film that has been acted in the name of a coup. They are like talking and running in a back. So they need to be very, very, very careful about this. The whole Gabon is in jubilation. That is fine. It's a new hope for the youth. It is a new hope for Gabonese that at least they are going to see someone else being commanding and talking. But true, let us be very, very careful, because what we may see in the coming days and in the coming months may not be exactly what we mean. Remember that I know Ali Bongo was poised to leave. Why? Because in 2000, remember when he took over in 2009, one of the things that he did was he wanted to keep away the French. He started that relation with China and other. And when he was asked, he said they are looking for interest and they do not have any permanent friends, Europeans or whatsoever. And that is why he went. And furthermore, he went into entry into the Commonwealth. Gabon is in the Commonwealth now. So a lot of things happened that France didn't want. And we should be careful that we may just be given that neo-colonialism the impetus that they need to take over the African continent much more than we even know. In
introduction, I recall that this is the 8th military coup in Central and West Africa since 2020. We've seen in Mali, we've seen in
Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinea.
Why do you think that the coup in Gabon might have been cooked up?
Why? I'm thinking of because I'm saying so because when you look at the way
it was so peaceful, but
yes,
we've had other peaceful coups.
Yes, no, they are. When you hear, you see, we analyze what the media say. You are the media. I want you to get close from now to tomorrow. Listen to what France 24 says. Listen to what RFI says. Listen to what the table. It is not the same statement or not the same. They do not castigate what happens in Gabon the same way they are castigating that in Niger, that in Mali, that in Burkina Faso. It is something much more. It is like they are biting their tongue. They are talking with hot cocoyams in their mouth. Well, as I've said, it is an important thing that somebody has been dethroned. Somebody who was above, felt he was above the Gabonese. But I'm saying that we need to be very, very careful that this very new friend that we need to have, we need to study him first before we actually say that he's a friend that has come to liberate us, to salvage us from the problem that the Gabonese they had. Because if you go into the analysis of how this coup d'etat has been done, it is bloodless. Yes, and of course, many has been in Niger too was bloodless. It is true, but let us be able to look at it very critically and see whether the person that we are hailing as the new king, as the new savior of the Republic of Gabon is the right person that we are supposed to be. Because mind you, I'm saying as a Republican that power, until that power is relinquished and given to Abe, I'm now landing, given back to Abe Ondo Nsah, who is the winner of the election in Gabon, then that is just a masquerade.
He has 2 years. Nguema has 2 years. The transition is 2 years.
As usual.
They announce. Good evening once again. Welcome. In a video that went viral, apparently coming from the resident of Ali Bongo, he is seen calling on the population or calling on the international community to help him. He say, make some noise for me. Let the world hear this. I have been arrested by the people. Those are his words. Make some noise for me.
You see, these comedians in Africa who call themselves presidents will never cease to amaze us. A few days ago, Ali Bongo ordered that internet should be shut down in Gabon. And I'm sure that if they were to make some noise for Bongo, it was going to be on social media. How would the noise go far if the internet remained shut down? Another controversy is the fact that RFE was banned, I think 4 days ago, from carrying out their reporting activities on the Gabonese soil. In the center of these controversies and getting him saying that people should make some noise because he seemed to be in danger so that the world should know. I start asking myself, how can a dictator, because Ali Bongo, I think I've been saying it for more than 3 years. At least somebody who could barely walk. But since he was controlling almost every institution in his country, he remained the power, in power. Remember the crisis between him and Jean-Pierre in 2016, like Dr. Ndimacho said. At that time, he did not give Jean-Pierre the opportunity to make some noise to himself. Today, he wants us to make some noise to him. We have Anglophone crises that have been rocking Cameroon for years. I am not sure, except I will be challenged tonight, that Ali Bongo has ever made some noise for the Anglophone crisis. Whereas, we are told that when your neighbor's house is on fire, you have to be very careful because it may spread as wildfire to your place. That said, I want to have 3 observations. One, that he was taken at that point in time. Why would the military not just carefully hand over the power to the person who won so that they will save the resources in that nation and then give power to the civilians so that it can serve as green light to other nations and to other the military of other nations that are still preparing to take over because they are still nations.
No, I said, I asked you a while ago that the military said, the head of the junta said they have dissolved all the state institutions. Parliament dissolved, the Senate dissolved, all institutions dissolved, elections cancelled, which means that they have to start from scratch. Okay. Like I was saying that in any case, I personally, I am happy that Bongo is out. Whether the person leading the military coup or the junta is linked to his family or not, my only fear at this point is that they should not be acting under the influence of France, because it could still be possible that they are being manipulated from France. And if they are acting under the influence of France, there is going to be no change in Gabon. But if they are acting under the influence of the people, I think there's going to be something positive. But then we must see that synergy. We must see that concerted effort, that synergy between the military, the civil society, the religious bodies, and other political parties in Gabon. If it remains purely in a military affair in the hands of the military, then we have every reason, like Dr. Ndimacho said a while ago, to doubt whether it is a coup d'etat or it's a cooked up coup d'etat. Okay, Dr. Michael Ndimacho, you guys are doubting. Let me take this what the French government spokesperson Olivier Véran said. He said, "We condemn the military coup and recall our commitment to free and transparent elections." Free and transparent elections. What does this mean?
That is to say that
the elections were not transparent?
Well, the message is so ambiguous. It could still be that they are accepting that elections went on transparently and that they see no reason why the military should take over. On another sense, and that is why I'm saying that people are not coming out very clearly after this coup d'etat. There is a lot that is being cooked on the ground. In another sense, he could be saying that, okay, the elections were not transparent. Now, the military has corroborated this turning by taking over power forcefully. Do you know what that means? The military has sent a mission across by saying that they know that the elections were rigged. That's one thing. They know the winner of the election, and that the winner of the election was not given the win. And therefore, because he was not given the win, we have decided to take the win by force. Now, let us translate into good faith. If you come to salvage somebody, to save somebody from trouble, and you really see that the person you are coming to assist is on the right, and you assist him to fight that fight or to fight the war, are you going to take the booty to yourself? You are not supposed to take the booty. So what the military needed to do, as in good faith, as a credible military, as people we should judge and see that they are out for the good of Gabonese, will have been that they seize that win from Ali Bongo, as he was declared to have won 64.999%, and give it to the rightful winner, who is Abe Ondo Nsah. This is what the Gabonese military was supposed to do. But to come out now and then say that you have cancelled all the institutions. I mean, do you know what that means? To say that all the institutions, you put them to need not.
In other
yeah, it has happened in all, but this is not good faith, because they have qualified the elections to have been rigged. They have qualified the elections to have been stolen. They have qualified the election null and void. I mean, to say that the winner, Ali Bongo, there were no claims in the elections, right? They themselves have judged and seen that the rightful winner was not given the win. And therefore, it is good faith that they give it calmly and seize it and say, we want peace. You know, Gabonese are people who want peace. One of the things I know about Gabonese is that they don't want this issue. And that is why we have had this long stay of the Mbonge in power. Because those are people who don't want any war. Those are people who want their peace. And I think that the Gabonese military, acting in good faith, would have simply said, upon the powers that we have as the military of Gabon, and knowing that they have judged who is the winner. You know that they have made judgment, right? To know that they know exactly.
They say Ali wouldn't have won.
Have won exactly. Meaning that what? They know the rightful winner of the elections. According to me, if there was good faith, if they were not being tailored by somebody somewhere, they would have just simply said that we know the winner of the election, we are going to give the winner to the rightful winner, and we are going to guard that the person takes up power without any contestation from anybody. This is what was supposed to happen. And therefore, to think that they come up and then they begin to declare that they will stay for 2 years. The military staying for 2 years. How will you come and take the country hostage? These are some of the things that we condemn. Because 2 years is going to become what? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. You know that this is what has always happened in Africa. When you take over power, you say we organize election in no more than 24 months. And before it's 24 months, you say that okay, the time was not enough for you to put institution in place. Because when you come, you fragilize all the institution. Why do you fragilize the institution when you have to take a lot of resources, a lot of time to be able to put them in place? And I think that's what I'm beginning to tell you, that there is something to eat that made the eye. Let us be careful. Don't run away from cool land to find yourself in frost land. Be very careful. You run away from the river to go and fall in the sea. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, let me take this message that just came in. Good evening to you all in the studio. It is really funny that African Union can condemn a military coup, but they can't condemn a constitutional coup. There are a lot of sit-tight African leaders who have dragged their country into the mud and manipulates the constitution of their countries to their benefits, and African Union has done nothing about it nor condemn it. It is high time African Union get dissolved and replaced by a well-defined and powerful organization France 24 is mouth-tied because it was never expected, and the European Union can't come hard on the coupists in Gabon. Reason, it is a very rich country, and the EU knows very well that they can't go hard on them because they might end up pushing them to new allies. Secondly, sanctions won't easily work on them because the West needs Gabon more than Gabon needs them. Semak hasn't stand or said anything. Reason, he will seek equity. He who seeks equity must do equity. Semak will remain mute. Leonard is writing from Kumba. This other message that just came in also. Good evening, moderator and panelists. It is a pity that someone who was thinking he will never be in a vulnerable position is begging for the same people whom he has been oppressing to make some noise for him. Now it is the time for the United States of Africa to be realized. We equally joined by Alex Nguepi, who is an active member of the SCA political party. Good evening, Alex, and thanks for joining.
Merci. Et une fois de plus, je m'excuse pour ce retard. Je tiens à dire un bonjour au peuple gabonais, je tiens à dire bonjour surtout aussi à la communauté camerounaise qui se trouve du côté de Libreville. Je vais parler de ceux des Akeba, les États-Unis d'Akeba comme souvent on l'appelle, Timitios, Nsah, Charbonnage, PK14, PK12, voilà. Donc le peuple gabonais, je tiens à leur rappeler ma solidarité vis-à-vis d'eux.
Okay. You've of course been following the situation in Gabon. What is your reaction to the latest being Bongo sending out a video when he's calling on the international community to make some noise, calling for the entire world to make some noise for him?
Oui, il faut dire que j'ai été un peu étonné de voir cette sortie du président Ali Bongo, mais vu qu'il a résidence suivie, et la résidence suivie ici, c'est que, ce qui est du Gabon, c'est que, en fait, Ali Bongo ne vit pas au palais présidentiel. Bien qu'il ait ses appartements là-bas, Ali Bongo vit dans sa résidence, il y a un quartier résidentiel vers Charbonnage, là j'ai oublié le nom, c'est à côté de la Kanda, là où il vit. Donc il est dans un cadre, il vit chez lui normalement, il sort tous les matins, il s'en va au bureau. Donc quand je l'ai vu dans cette vidéo, j'ai compris qu'il était chez lui, en résidence suivie dans sa propre maison, et que c'est l'armée qui a tenu à faire cette sortie-là. Il a cru qu'en le faisant passer en anglais, il devait duper l'armée. Mais je crois que c'est depuis cette sortie que les gens ont compris que le coup était acté. C'est-à-dire, dans sa sortie, quand on voit un président de la République supplier, demander au peuple de faire le bruit, demander aux gens de faire le bruit, à ses amis de faire le bruit, vous comprenez très bien que le petit préfet qui se trouve là dans l'arrondissement de Bitam, le sud à Bitam, comprend tout de suite que tout est cuit, que les choses sont cuites, que Ali Bongo a perdu le pouvoir. Donc cette vidéo-là, c'est même cette vidéo-là qui a fait comprendre aux gens que c'est un coup d'État consommé. Donc ça a été consommé. Et il demande pardon aujourd'hui à ses amis non au peuple gabonais. Il leur dit demander au peuple gabonais pardon, mais il oublie qu'il a coupé Internet quelques jours avant les élections présidentielles. Alors bon, quand il demande pardon, est-ce que ce peuple gabonais qui demande au peuple gabonais de le soutenir, de faire le bruit, bien il demande à ses amis de la France-Afrique de le soutenir. Donc c'est l'action qu'on se pose. À qui est-ce qui demande de faire le bruit? La diaspora gabonaise, je ne crois pas. Il faut dire qu'il y a ça tout récemment, l'un de ces ministres a été bastonné en France, hein, et ce sont des choses qui sont récurrentes. C'est-à-dire que la base qu'on connaît aujourd'hui du côté du Cameroun, c'est que se trouve en France, en Allemagne, mais cette base-là existe au Gabon. C'est-à-dire que depuis le temps d'Omar Bongo, il y a une forte communauté gabonaise qui est en France, bien implantée en France, et qui passe le temps à bastonner les ministres gabonais quand ils se rendent là-bas. Donc les agents, en fait, la base camerounaise n'a que copié l'exemple du Gabon. Même les Ivoiriens qui ont commencé à taper sur leurs ministres, ce sont les Gabonais qui sont précurseurs de cela. Donc je ne vois pas la diaspora gabonaise en train d'aider le président Ali Bongo, peut-être quelques-uns de ses amis, mais je connais beaucoup de Gabonais qui sont de la diaspora et qui ne pourront pas l'aider. Je connais plus d'étudiants gabonais qui sont allés apprendre en France là, mais je ne les vois pas, et qui sont restés d'ailleurs en train de faire le bruit comme le président a demandé.
Okay, Alex, before you came in, Dr. Michael Ndimacho, of course, and Ndiwum Emmanuela, they were raising question of the authenticity of the coup, that apparently is something that has been staged, that the way it happened, it appears as if there is a hidden hand of France.
tout peut laisser croire, parce que en principe, moi je me suis posé la question, parce que je connais bien, il y a plus de 350 soldats français qui sont basés du côté du charbonnage, une grosse base qui est assez puissante, assez équipée. Il y a plusieurs coopérants militaires français au Gabon, parce qu'en fait, au Gabon, vous allez voir des Français qui ont la tenue du Gabon, qui ont des officiers français qui portent la tenue des soldats gabonais, mais qui sont les coopérants. Okay? C'est eux qui forment les pilotes gabonais, parce que le Gabon a acquis un mythe, le fameux mythe vendu par la France. Ils ont acquis cela quand Ali Bongo était ministre de la Défense. Je me rappelle l'année 2008. À l'époque, ça avait fait un crash entre Ali Bongo et un puissant général de l'armée de l'air gabonaise, M. Abou, qui a décédé, paix à son âme. Donc, il y a des coopérants français au Gabon. Maintenant, on a vu que la France a été en effroi avec le Gabon, hein, depuis l'ascension d'Ali Bongo au pouvoir, parce que je me rappelle lorsque Ali Bongo avait gagné l'élection de 2016, alors la France avait menacé Ali Bongo de sortir les vrais résultats, hein, les vrais résultats des urnes. Et je crois qu'à l'époque, ça avait beaucoup dérangé Ali Bongo, ça avait créé un incident diplomatique entre la France et le Gabon. Maintenant, avec aussi le fait que Ali Bongo avait décidé qu'on n'exporte plus les grumes de bois du Gabon pour la France, brut sans transformation. Il a créé la zone économique spéciale d'un coq. Et là-bas, quand il a créé cette zone économique spéciale, il a donc demandé que les grumes puissent être transformées avant d'être importées pour l'extérieur. C'est qui devait mettre sur pied des valeurs ajoutées. Il a créé des entreprises de séchage et d'entrepôts du bois séché au Gabon. C'est une très bonne chose. Donc les relations étaient très refroidies entre la France et le Gabon. Mais il y a eu, il y a cela quelques mois, il y a eu une sortie. Macron est à Libreville. Il a présidé il a présidé une grosse conférence, une conférence à Libreville sur les affaires. Alors, avec la coprésidence avec Ali Bongo. Alors, on s'est dit que c'était le développement de Macron pour Ali Bongo. C'est ce qu'ils ont cru. Ce qu'ils en sont dit. Hein? Donc, maintenant, on a aussi des photos qui circulent, qu'on voit l'homme fort du Gabon aujourd'hui, avec Macron en train de discuter. Donc, on se dit, est-ce que c'est pas la France qui est derrière? Mais je peux vous dire que c'était prévisible. Connaissant Ali Bongo, je suis certain que les Français ont dû lui faire comprendre qu'il y avait un coup d'État qui se préparait. Ils ont eu l'information et qu'ils ont dû le faire connaître Ali Bongo. Ali Bongo s'est dit que l'armée était fidèle à lui parce que les généraux sont bien englissés au Gabon. Parce que celui qui a fait le coup d'État n'est pas forcément général, le voit un peu. Donc il s'est dit que c'était pas possible. Il a juste pensé à la rue parce que chaque élection au Gabon, la rue sort. Les gens sortent dans la rue pour manifester. Ça, tu étais comme ça, il y a les casses. Donc je crois qu'Ali Bongo a plus eu peur de la rue que de l'armée gabonaise. Et aujourd'hui, c'est autre chose. Donc dire que la France est derrière ne serait pas anodin. Parce que la réalité, c'est quoi? C'est que depuis 2016, Ali Bongo est dans l'incapacité de gouverner. C'est-à-dire après 2016, il a eu un problème. Après la Covid-19, il a eu, du côté de l'Arabie Saoudite, il a eu l'AVC qu'il a mobilisé pendant 12 mois, 1 an. Et je me rappelle qu'à l'époque, l'opposition gabonaise, Jean-Pierre, à l'époque, avait demandé que la Cour constitutionnelle, avec Boransou, qui est justement la belle-mère d'Ali, et parce que c'est la belle-mère d'Ali, parce que Boransou a fait les enfants, 2 enfants avec Omar Bongo. Il faut qu'on le dise bien aux Gabonais.
Non, donc vous êtes en train de dire pour être dans le gouvernement, il fallait aller proche du...
Oui, Omar Bongo a plusieurs enfants avec ses ministres. C'est connu de tous. Madame Boransou, qui est la présidente de la Cour constitutionnelle gabonaise, elle a belle médaille Bongo et elle a fait des enfants avec Omar Bongo. Donc, Ali Bongo a des enfants qui est avec Boransou. C'est sûr de tous. Donc, à l'époque, Jean Ping et l'opposition gabonaise avaient saisi la Cour constitutionnelle gabonaise afin que Boransou constate la vacance du pouvoir au Gabon. Parce qu'on a dit qu'Ali Bongo était la capacité de diriger. Mais Boransou, Madame Boransou avait estimé que ce n'était pas le cas. Elle avait sorti un article là de la Constitution disant que Ali Bongo pouvait diriger le pays. Donc, il y a déjà eu cela et tout le monde a compris qu'Ali Bongo était dans l'incapacité de gouverner. Maintenant, vous avez donc la plateforme de l'opposition qui est venue. Je tiens à rappeler que Nsah, qui était un ancien ministre, un baron du régime, ce qu'ils ne savent pas, parce qu'Nsah est un baron du régime sous l'ère Omar Bongo. Vous savez donc, il a fait partie du PDG, du Parti démocrate gabonais. Nsah, donc, qui est à travers la plateforme, a déclaré qu'il avait remporté l'élection gabonaise il y a de cela 3 jours, et que par la suite, l'armée vient aujourd'hui, on donne le restaurant, proclame Ali Bongo vainqueur de l'élection. Je pense, à mon humble avis, hein, que depuis qu'Ali Bongo, même au temps de Mabongo, on avait eu les Mamoudou, Pierre Mamoudou, de l'UPC, l'Union pour le changement, l'Union des populations gabonaises, l'UPG, Pierre Mamoudou, qui a soutenu tête au Mabongo. Il est décédé par son âme. Donc, chaque élection présidentielle au Gabon, vous avez une forte opposition que tu manifestais. Et je me dis bien que la France, peut-être, si on explore la piste de la France, je pense que peut-être la France s'est dit qu'Ali Bongo n'avait plus les mallettes de gérer le Gabon et que la France, donc, nous ne voulons donc pas que Nsah puisse être proclamé vainqueur, bien que la rue sorte la faveur de Nsah. Alors la France a peut-être joué ce coup de poker, c'est-à-dire a dit autant mieux préserver les intérêts de la France, parce que la France a énormément d'intérêts au Gabon, autant mieux donc préserver les intérêts de la France, et que la France a donc laissé ce coup d'État se faire en se disant que si l'armée prend le pouvoir, au moins les intérêts seront protégés. Et Ramet, qui est fondée au Gabon, qui est la grosse entreprise de Comilor, parce que Comilor est une entreprise qui exploite de manganèse au Gabon, et Ramet donc a sorti un communiqué en disant qu'ils arrêtaient leurs activités pour protéger le personnel. Donc on comprend très bien que la France peut-être peut avoir une main mise dessus, et c'est pour ça que la France ne réagit pas fermement, parce que le Gabon en Afrique centrale, après la Côte d'Ivoire, la Côte d'Ivoire, en Afrique subsaharienne, le Gabon est le pays où la France a énormément d'intérêt. Le pétrole gabonais est exploité presque à 80% par les entreprises françaises. Oui, donc, plus de 10 000 ressortissants français vivent au Gabon. Donc, il ne serait pas absurde de penser que la France peut avoir donné, peut avoir dit un mot sur ce coup d'État-là.
I will come back to you. Ndiwum, there's this question that many people keep asking. The reason that the military cave in Niger was the fact that the ousted President Bazoum, was not managing state resources in the interest of the local population. But if you come now to Gabon, what is it that the population, according to you, found faulty in Ali Bongo? Is it the fact that his health is deteriorating, or the family that has been in power for a very long time?
The reasons are many. But before I come to that, before coming into this studio, I read the communique of Musa Faki. I laughed until I almost fell where I was sitting. I thought that he had maybe gone to another planet. I never knew that he was still on the planet Earth. And especially when he talked about the Charter of the African Union that talks about elections, democracy and governance, and that he's following closely the events in Gabon. Priority should be given to peaceful political avenues. And I'm still laughing till now. What a joke. What a comedian. And again, like you are asking the question about Niger, they said Bazoum was misusing state funds. I don't know whether you are just asking the question because you want an answer, or you are not aware that the Gabonese for a very long time have accused Bongo for taking Gabon actually as a family property, as a family enterprise. To be a president in a country, and that for 12 months, your citizens do not know your whereabouts. I want to remind you that at one point in time, the citizens of Gabon did not know where Bongo was, under the fallacious pretext that his health was not good. And like the president of the country, and as a president who renders account, who is at the service of his citizens, the citizens were supposed to be well informed. If the president is a human being, the president is not a superhuman being that cannot fall sick. You are sick, you are out of the country, yet all activities in the country almost have to be on standstill until you get back to the country. Now, tell me how the citizens of that country will be happy with you. That's one. Two, his long stay in power was already irritating the Gabonese, because seeing that his incapacity to rule the country was so glaring to the world. You saw him in France in a summit. He was like the leaf of a cocoyam, almost falling down, disgracing a whole nation. A nation made up of young, vibrant youth. A nation made up of youth with their brains still very much intact, led by a half man who called himself a president. Is that not a disgrace to that country? How else did he want the people? You would have discovered that today the people of that nation were jubilating, even though some are just jubilating the fact that he's no longer there. These are the lessons we have been saying. Nobody was born as a president, and nobody must think that he should die as a president. I want to think that his neighbors, who are almost on the same shape like him, who are following this program tonight, should keep taking lessons. We have been saying, I said it last time, that enough coup d'etats and at one point in time, I don't even care whether the coup d'etat was a peaceful one, it was an arranged one, it was a cooked up coup d'etat. The fact is that there is a coup d'etat. It has happened, and he's out, and he must be out. Who told the Bongo's family that Gabon was a monarchy? That your father ruled from 53 years for the same family. Getting a child grows up, it means that you grow up. Those who died at the age of 50 died knowing only the Bongos in power. So that question you are asking, what would be the reasons are many. Another one is that he has effectively succeeded in using almost all the state resources for his family, because the level of tribalism, even the civil service sector in Gabon was like a Bongo civil service unit. If you are not close to the Bongo's family, you are not there. He hijacked everything with his health again. All resources were factored into seeing how they can repair his damaged health and maintain him in power. The question now is, for the time being there, what good has he been doing to the Gabonese? Does it mean that only the Bongo's family had the capacity to rule Gabon? That you are in a stroke and the country still remains your personal property? Gabonese, like Dr. Ndimacho said, might have been quiet because they are peace-loving citizens. Not that they like the fact that Bongo was there, but an opportunity has presented himself and have been rooted out. And many of them will be booted out like that in the days ahead, even before December. Such any sit-tight president in Africa now.
Even those that have been democratically elected?
No. There is no president in the world that can be democratically elected to make 40, 42, 45 years in power. I repeat, there is, except it is somebody that God blessed with fraud, God blessed with rigging of election. And what is happening in Gabon, whether it is a cooked up military coup or not, it has been done by the military. I want to think that the military of other countries should be copying examples, because for a military to successfully even execute a coup d'etat, it means that that military has an intention, if not the vision, to work for the people. Because it is not in every case that it succeeds. It's not in every case. But we have some countries where the head of states have tribalized the military to make sure that the military is working for them to keep them in power forever. Whereas all these people, when the going gets tough, they declare war. And when they declare war, they sit back while the young generation is going to die at the war front.
Okay, I will come back to you, Ndiwum. We joined by Jarvis. Jarvis is a journalist and of course a conflict expert. He's with us in the studio. Good evening, Tamai, and welcome.
Good evening, Lasha. Good evening to those who are watching us from Libreville. Good evening to the people from the northwest and the southwest region. Good evening to those who are watching us in Europe and America, and a special good evening to Yaoundé. Special good evening to the Unity Palace.
Yes, you've been following the situation in Gabon. Bongo now calling for people to make some noise for him. Make some noise for me. And instead of the population making the noise, they took to the streets
to make the noise,
to sing the national anthem in support of the military that took over.
Lasha, today is the 30th. On the 28th, that hopefully was Monday, we had a program like this, and we were talking about this situation in Gabon, about the election. I remember I said it that the way Bongo have handled the election, there will be a coup d'etat. And I'm happy the videos are there. I said it categorically clear that there will be a coup d'etat in Gabon. Before we could sleep, Tuesday past Wednesday, there is a coup d'etat. If I was a prophet, my members will be singing, Papa saw it, Papa saw it. And why did I say there will be a coup d'etat? And I'm saying that it's not only Bongo. And I say it without any iota of fear, that the train has left the station and it will not be coming anytime soon. Your question now is, Bongo said they should make some noise, and the people instead went and were singing the national anthem. Lasha, I told you this, that 60 years after independence is enough for the people to take and not to take it anymore. If we can be for 60 years, Gabon, 60 years after independence, the ministers still go out of Gabon for medical treatment, then something is wrong. 60 years after independence, Gabonese don't know where the oil money is going to. Same like in other African countries, with Cameroon inclusive, something is wrong. With the oil money being a money for the few, something is wrong. If for 60 years after independence, the Gabonese top elite cannot send their kids to Gabonese schools to have good education, to study, but they have to send their children in Manchester, in Chelsea, in Nottingham, in Harvard, in UK to go and study, something is wrong. If for 60 years, same as in Cameroon, where most of their early children cannot school in our schools, something is wrong. If for 60 years after we regain independence, the persons or those in Gabon cannot boast of stable electricity, and their bosses and top elite have their solar panels and drive in their good cars, something is wrong, including Cameroon. If for 60 years the Gabonese cannot be able to boast of good roads and adequate social welfare scheme, same as in Cameroon, something is wrong. Lasha, the noise he's talking about that people should make, who should make the noise? He shot himself in the leg. Remember, I said it here, that he ordered the shutting down of internet. We said it here. That was the first ingredient of analysis that I used to tell you that there will be coup d'etat. Second, his age, the longevity in power, was the second unit of analysis that I used to tell you that there will be a coup d'etat. Third, the opposition leader. There's what we call in research, Dr. Ndimacho will tell you, content analysis. When you do a content analysis on somebody's words, the words that the person used, if you saw how the opposition leader came out and was clear, you look at his body language, you look at the way he was talking, it was clear that he already had concluded, and he said that Bongo has us now to negotiate or never. Any political analyst, you don't need the prophet to know coup d'etat is on the way. Go back and watch that tape again. Look at the way he's presented it, the confidence with which he said, you know, we are in Africa. And sometimes that was not the same confidence Maurice Kamto used. You must, to master that confidence, to say you are actually calling, it means that you know where you are coming from. And when you see a child on the road dancing without you seeing somebody beating the drum at the road, know that the drummer is far off. It's like in Douala, where you see a child just come up from the street and come and paint your dress with red oil.
Jarvis.
And you will feel that it's a small child you can just beat, and you start running and following that child in the quarter. By the time you get to the quarter, all your belongings you are kidnapped. So that was a clear sign for Bongo to know that something was cooking. That was the fourth unit of analysis. Now the fifth unit of analysis is that Bongo himself cannot say he will win an election in which people know that he has health challenge. Then the sixth is that these military men and women who go on retirement, you know, when you are in active service, and I'm talking to all the military, those who are watching us right now, to understand this. Today you are in the military corps, where you are going to a place they open the road for you, you pass. The traffic, you pass. You go for health sector, you don't stand on the line, you go to the hospital because you are still active in the service. You go to the bank, they open the bank for you, you don't queue on the line because you are still in the service. By the time you go on retirement, you have more problems than us who have adapted to that lifestyle of hardship. And so therefore, the responsibility of good leadership, development, effective rule of law is in your hands, not in the hands of those you are accompanying whose children are not in Cameroon, whose children are not in Gabon, whose children are not in Chad, whose children are not in any part of Africa. You have that sole responsibility to look into yourself and say, I am defending the spirit of the Constitution, not an individual. And that's why I'm telling you today that the boss of effective leadership, that boss where you see that you think the people could not revindicate, it has left the station. Nobody could expect that there will be a coup d'etat in Gabon. Nobody. They said no, it's peaceful. Remember, they said Bongo had all military men are Bongo's men. The same men are the same people who betray him. Jesus Christ was betrayed by a kiss.
In some other country, it might not be the same case with Gabon. Multicultural, ethnic countries.
I want to answer that. Yes, the people, all of us, Alex inclusive, Ndimacho inclusive, Ndiwum inclusive, yourself inclusive, we have one common language. Money without grammar, without money is noise. All of us are united one language, poverty. It's not whether you say alele, it's not whether I say ora, it's not whether I say ozowanti. We are united by one language, poverty. Money is the language that we hear. It's not the division. Let me tell you, the same person who is in northern part of Cameroon or whichever area feel the same effect like me. When I'm going somewhere, like when I went to Nairobi, I was stuck in traffic. It was not because I am not a Kenyan that I had to be in traffic. Whether I was a Kenyan or whoever, I have to be in traffic. So what the language that we speak are just enumerated here. We are
in some countries the systems have been put in place.
Lasha, keep aside the system
in such a way that
Lasha, wait, let me land. No, let me land. There's nothing like I can never work. I just said it that these people who are guiding the same person that we claim that they are tribalistic, right? They will go on retirement. On their retirement bed, traffic will meet them. It will not be said that because they are particular area. When there's no electricity in Douala, is it because you are from this region, from this region, from this region? Electricity is cut off. That's the one language that we all understand. Poor, no electricity. We all understand bad roads. Like in Bonamusa, when you are going in and out, you spend a lot of time. Does it say that Alex, you are from the west region, you should not see traffic? Jarvis, you are from northwest, you should see traffic? It's one common language. The peace-loving people of Africa, whichever nation, are linked by one common language. Bongo is saying that people should make noise. Use which media to make the noise. He shut down the internet.
Has been restored by the military.
They should use the same internet to make noise. I want to conclude by giving this historic analysis that Lasha, we are in the month of August. 10 months from now, we'll come back here and discuss something similar to this.
Okay.
In Semak.
Okay. Dr. Ndimacho, let me take this reaction from the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Joseph Borrell, who said if this is confirmed, it is another military coup which increases instability in the whole region. He went ahead to say that the whole area, starting with Central African Republic, then Mali, Burkina Faso, now Niger, and of course, maybe Gabon. They are still talking about maybe in Gabon. Maybe it's in a very difficult situation, and certainly the ministers have to have a deep thought on what is going on there and how we can, talking about the EU, improve the policy with respect to these countries, the countries in the Central African sub-region. They are worried about that.
Deeply worried, of course, deeply worried. Just to say that I feel like joining Jarvis Church, and please make it big so that the arms too should be big. I think everybody is deeply worried.
They're not doing anything.
Yes, one interesting thing about all of this is there's what we call signs of the time.
Yeah.
Signs of the time, they are indicatives of things that should happen. But unfortunately, sit-tight dictators are always oblivious to signs of the time. They always forget that, or they ignore the fact that something would happen to them.
When you say ignore, don't you think they have what they are counting on?
Of course.
When you say ignore,
there are two things that matter in the world. I think Jarvis talk about money. Money is one of the things, and the second thing is power. It is not enough when you have money. When you have money, you want to climb the ladder of power and be at the top. This is what happened, and that is why what you say that there is something they are hanging on is because in some countries the military is suffocated with allowances and with money, and then you think that by doing that you are keeping them under you. It is a lie. Even biblically, Adam and Eve, they had everything in the garden but except what is at the center of the garden. In heaven, Angel Michael with Lucifer had everything, but what did he want next? Power. He wanted to be like God. That is the same thing that human beings are. As we are seated here, if I empower you and give you enough money, the next thing you want to do is to be like me, and the next thing is power. So those who think that those who are around them, they are giving them enough money to keep them silent, can never be. When we are just coming, something interesting happened when we were just coming into the studio. There was an important reshufflement in the Cameroon military. Very, very important one.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very important one.
It could have been a coincidence.
Well, let us take the coincidence to be coincidental.
You are even the one saying
It is coincidence.
Because he's not talking about
I'm talking about it. You are talking about coincidence. I mean, I'm just saying that we take interest in that.
I'm just saying that it might be a coincidence.
That is right. Thank you for that conclusion, or well, for that suggestion.
Yes.
Let us take as a coincidence, just to let you know that sometimes you can never ever be protected enough. You know that you fear to go out in the street, but you forget that your death comes from the collapse of your roof. This is how it happens. The family of Bongo came at a certain point in time whereby, you know, they were shattered already, starting from 2009. There is Omar Denise Bongo, who is the son of Edith Bongo, the sister of Denis Sassou Nguesso, who was in contest of the presidential palace with Omar Bongo, his half-brother. Since 2009, there seem to have been agreement for change of power within the time. That, okay, you, go first. When this time reaches, maybe in 2016, we are going to change power. It didn't happen. If you watch, did you see what happened during the Gabonese National Day on the 17th of August? Whereby you found Omar Bongo, the president, arguing publicly with the wife in Mondo Vision. That is to tell you that what? The center was no more holding. And things had to happen.
It's human. Marital issues could escalate.
Marital issues should be handled diplomatically. Even the issues of the loins, they should be handled
inside the room.
Inside the room, because the loins has respect. That is why I'm telling you that sometimes you think you have all the protection you have, but there's just a trigger that takes you off. I started by saying that Gabonese are peace-loving people, but there's a time that some kind of peace has limits. You will not have your president who can barely present himself in public. He goes to France and it's a mockery. He goes to Russia, it's a mockery. And then you have Gabonese educated people, professors in universities who teach abroad, and they meet with other people and they talk. Sometimes you feel There's that kind of suppressed emotion that you don't want to talk about something because somebody will tell you, what are you saying? Look at your president. So it reaches a limit where Gabon will say, no. These things has to stop. And that is why lenience have to be watched in public. Tamajawi talked about Abe, Ondo, Nsah. If you look at the certainty with which Abe spoke after the elections, you knew that something was cooking. And there was supposed to be signs of the time. I don't know how the intelligence service in Gabon, I don't even know how it works. But just to tell you that at times, when your time reaches, there is nobody who can stop it. Because at this present moment, if Bongo knew, because there was some reshufflement just before even the, yes, and he thought that he has put his own people around him to tighten security. Can you imagine that it is his own agent guard that has come against him? This is what we are talking about, that dictators have to read from the signs of. But I want to say something very important. Families of dictators have to take their parents or their fathers who are president, I mean, either to court or maybe they have to disown them.
To a cleansing?
Yes, because most of these, do you know the family that suffer?
But right now, the son to
good. The son has been arrested. The immediate family
prison charges.
Prison charges. The family, the wife. He doesn't even. Bongo doesn't know where the wife is. Maybe one minister general has taken it. I'm saying that the families of dictators are not in safe hands. Never. Because once when it touches the dictator, they go immediately to the sons, to the wife, to the daughters,
powerless.
and they become so powerless. So that is why when we are condemning bad governance and the children and the family are just enjoying themselves,
so
making merry.
How do you stand against your father?
No, there is a way.
Father.
No, there is
when it comes to state affairs, it's no longer a family issue. How will you challenge your father?
There is my father, the president of X country, and there is my father, the head of Ndimacho's family. My father does not spend 24 hours in the state office. At least my father has family time. And many people have listened to the advice. I'm thinking of Kenneth David Kaunda.
Kenneth Kaunda.
Yes. He did listen to the advice of the family.
Even Julius
Nyerere, the saint to be of Africa.
He died with $5,000 in his account.
You are talking about Kaunda, even who died with $8,000. These are ideal president. Don't you think they had children to amass the wealth? The problem is the desire, the zeal of the children. Do you know that we know of clubs in Yaoundé where sons of president come and they make merry? Maybe you don't play live. We play live and we meet them. Where sons of president come and meet, and when they meet there, not an honorable person enter that club. Do you know that?
Nobody.
They live here. They go to Gabon. They come to Cameroon. They go to. This is how they lavish the money. They know and they say, "Mon père est président." And when they come, they are protected even more than the president. Like someone will write that the president's wife has become the president. This is what is happening. We have seen president wife who act more than president. This is why I'm saying that we should read from signs of the time. And the families of president are much more in danger than the president themselves. Look at this man is under house arrest. Yes, he's even able to talk, but he is crying and asking us to shout. Make noise. I don't even have a voice. You see, it's a boomerang. It is a boomerang because the very internet and whatsoever that he cut is the very internet he wants to use, and he asks me to make noise. Here am I on a meter for making noise. That is. He listen to my noise.
Okay, let me take some messages.
Before you come with a message, you just touch what I said a while ago that once you are a dictator, you dictate to a level where you end up dictating to your own self. And some of these dictators, like we are talking about the signs of time, they don't read time. Yes. They know that they have time. But one thing I've always told them is that dictators have just watches, but the person who holds time is God. And when the time of God and
old people tend to be very stubborn and they don't take to pieces of advice. I'm sure you have a father and you know what I'm
No, it's not about being stubborn. A wise man at the old age remains a source of wisdom. These people are not ruling us with wisdom. you first of all know that they are not ordinary people like you and I. Where they are put in their legs and their feet, at one point neutralizes even their reasoning. They only think about the occultic powers attached to what they're doing. And at one point, they tend not even to reason again. Otherwise, and they have wives. And we know that a good wife by you will always give you a good advice. Okay. Such people, something is wrong.
Okay. Gabon needs some better president. Someone who is unable to walk and talk as president is an abuse to the nation of Gabon. As for the African Union and other countries who fight to condemn their own time is coming, their own time is coming. I have never heard a good or responsible president is overthrown. I am Jarvis, writing from Moliko in Buya. This other message. Good evening to you all in the studio. I am what is happening in Gabon is a wind of change that will not only help Gabonese but will equally send a strong message across African countries that have been living in dictatorship for more than 60 years today. It is time for France to get out of Africa, and I believe African countries can only succeed through this military coup that has or have been rampant in recent time. I am writing from Vundu in Bam and the Kim center region of the country. Good evening, I am enjoying the show, and Prince Will writing from Bamenda. You're enjoying the show. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Lasha and everyone on the panel. There is a program after this one in French. Let us, the English speaking community, enjoy this, please. I am Enes writing from Barcelona in Spain. I don't know what this means. I don't know what they are talking about. Greetings, this Dominique from Mutengene. It's not about election or any other thing, but it's a wind of change that is blowing through Africa, and this was Gabon's turn. The old system is being wiped out of the African image. Good evening, Mr. Journalist. On God, we all are alive today. Based on my perspective, if all Africans unite and fight, especially France, away from Africa, it will be a good work, making us remember Gaddafi. We need to be USA, United States of Africa. You say, so it is a good decision taken by the Gabonese. You didn't sign your message. The Gabonese military wouldn't give the power to the rightful winner because they don't want any interference from France. Tomorrow you will hear that they are driving out French embassy. Paddy is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, I am Pascal from Womb. I so much love this program of today. Hi to everyone on the panel. I just can't afford to miss every Prime Hour program. However, I wish to ask if the program is in English or French and English. Sometimes we have French panelists who come on the program, so it's not new. My understanding is that what is happening in Gabon is a wind of change blowing through the African continent. Greetings to you guys in the house. I said it here last time that the end result of Gabonese election will see the incumbent president emerging. What is happening in Africa now, especially in former French colonies, is not a surprise. The clouds are seriously gathered and the outcome will be heavy downpour. Another country not far from Gabon will follow suit. Lionel is writing from Kumbu. Edmond from Douala. Hello, distinguished panelists. I want to disagree with Mr. Ndiwum for the military handover to the Brice or Lingi Ngema is not constitutional. If the electoral process was fraudulent and rigged, the Electoral Commission, Senab, had announced Ali Bongo as winner. If the millions will usurp the authority to hand power to Ngema, it will be appealed by the Constitutional Court of the land and not the military. However, the military has dissolved all institutions of the land and the country is under siege, and the people's voice has been overwhelmingly heard and agreed with. That said, the transition period of 2 years is just the sacrifice the people have to make to stabilize the country. Edmond is writing from Denver in Douala. What happened Good evening to you all in the studio. This is Evangelist Lawrence from Boya. I just Africans to pray more, and of course to the CEMAC countries more in the days ahead. Good evening, Mr. Lasha and your panelist, Mr. Ndiwum. You have a point. Either Ali Bongo plays the coup against himself, or France should be the one. Let's pray for Ali is the one who plays the game like Robert Mugabe did in Zimbabwe. We should acknowledge that Ali was already more pan-Africanist than being more puppet. This one is saying that Ali might be the one who has staged the coup for France to leave him alone. Greetings to the panel in the studio. The wind of change that is blowing towards Africa. It is till the day the Africans still stand up for the right. It is the French that are behind the coup in Gabon, not the population. That's what you think. Good evening. Good evening, bonsoir. You've not said anything. You just said good evening and bonsoir. Good evening, presenter. It is time for all African nations to learn their lessons from all this dictatorship. Enough is enough. I am watching from Nigeria, and Nigeria should be the next.
Of course. I'll see why.
I am Daniel Efras. Hello, Elijah. I am enjoying your program from Ghana. Good evening, my media prime. I am watching your program live from Gabon. We are indoors, locked down from towns from tomorrow 6 p.m. Sebastian, you are writing from Gabon. You say there's lockdown in Gabon. Once the Arab Spring, now the Sub-Sahara Spring. Could this be an opportunity for true emergence for these nations, or could these coups be a possibility for a United States of Africa, where all those coup leaders create some sort of common Confederate United States of Africa? Good evening, panelists. Abo, writing from Boya. So many messages coming in, and we cannot read all now. Good evening, sir. I hope that the wind of change will also blow in another country that is not far from Gabon. I am Oben Marie, writing from Helsinki in Finland. So you are writing from Finland. Greetings to all in the house. Dr. Ndimacho is really pouring out the knowledge to young stars in Cameroon. We hope that this virus contaminates our own country. Don't know what that means. You didn't say Good evening. It is Stanley from Douala. I wish all the CEMAC countries should follow suit so that France would have retired development and punish the youth in Central Africa is backed out. We end with this one. Good evening, Dr. Panelists in the studio. I am happy with the program, and of course, France should go out of Africa and leave Africa alone. This wind of change is next to Cameroon. Elong APA, writing from Tombe. So you are writing from Tombe. Sir, congratulations to the wonderful outing that you are doing on my Media Prime Television. All panelists of Prime have brains. They have brains. Keep up the good job. You say you are a busy man. You didn't tell us where you are writing from. Hello, Mr. Lasha and team. I am very grateful for the program of today. I am Pa Nkeng Yafe in Bangolan, Baptist Health Center. Good evening, Mr. Lasha, and to all the panelists. Great topic tonight. I am on point. And of course, the president should go and leave the people alone. We hope that this also come to some neighboring countries. Okay. You guys have listened to the messages. If you want to react on something before I ask you the question.
No, ask the question.
Yes. Now it is clear that the transition is in place. All the institutions have been dissolved. What is the way forward for Gabon? What's the way forward for Gabon? 2 years transition period.
Oui.
The price the Gabonese have to pay?
Oui, et c'est malheureux. C'est malheureux parce que même si il faut que je définisse quelque chose, c'est que les différentes formes de coup d'État il y a ce qu'on appelle les coups d'État militaires. C'est ce qui se passe au Gabon actuellement.
Aujourd'hui, on focalise sur le coup d'État militaire.
Permettez-moi, M. Lasha, laissez-moi m'exprimer. Ce qui se passe au Gabon aujourd'hui, c'est-à-dire que l'armée fait un coup d'État et prend le pouvoir, et prend le pouvoir. Il y a ce qu'on appelle les coups d'État constitutionnels. Hein. C'est ce qui s'est passé au Tchad, c'est-à-dire que la Constitution prévoit que si le président décède, tel prend le pouvoir. Au Tchad, par contre, on a vu l'église DB, l'office de l'église de Idno prend le pouvoir en lieu et place du président national. Là, c'est un coup d'État constitutionnel, malheureusement adopté par la France. Vous avez ce qu'on appelle les coups d'État électoraux. Hein, électoraux. Les coups d'État électoraux, vous savez ce qui se passe au Gabon, qu'Ali Bongo a voulu faire, c'est-à-dire qu'en principe, telle personne devrait remporter l'élection, mais on désigne une autre personne. C'est ce qui s'est passé au Cameroun en 1992 avec le SDM Fondi, c'est ce qui s'est passé en 2018 avec le MRC, c'est-à-dire qui a remporté l'élection et le LPC a remporté. C'est ce qui s'est passé en 1996 avec Ali Bongo, c'est-à-dire que c'était Jean Ping qui avait remporté l'élection, mais on a déclaré Ali Bongo vainqueur. Ça sont les coups d'État électoraux et c'est ce qui est même la forme la plus répandue et qui est toujours adoubée par la communauté internationale. Parce qu'en fait, la communauté internationale préfère tous les coups d'État électoraux, c'est-à-dire on préfère toujours que des gens, pas des truchements électoraux, disent qu'ils ont remporté l'élection. Après, vous parlez de légitimité, de légalité. Donc, tous les pays africains connaissent les coups d'État électoraux. Et maintenant, ce qu'on appelle généralement les coups d'État populaires. Les gens ont voulu assimiler ça à l'insurrection. En fait, c'est la forme de coup d'État la plus merveilleuse, en fait. C'est que le peuple décide de prendre son pouvoir par la rue. C'est-à-dire que vous avez des États ou des soulèvements populaires, hein, où les populations en ont marre d'une gouvernance et eux-mêmes, à la place de l'armée, vont déloger celui qui est aux affaires. Je crois que c'est ce coup d'État dont Ali Bongo avait peur. Hein. Et ce coup d'État, malheureusement, n'a pas encore eu lieu en Afrique parce que quand on essaye de mettre sur pied ce coup d'État, l'armée vient toujours court-circuiter. L'armée vient toujours, on a vu ça, cela s'est produit en Égypte. Mais au lieu que le peuple qui a pris la rue en Égypte, l'armée égyptienne est venue à court-circuiter et à transformer ça en coup d'État militaire. Et tous ont besoin de quoi? De la masse populaire. Tous ont besoin que les populations les adoptent. Voilà la réalité. Tous les coups d'État que je viens de citer ont besoin de l'adoubement des populations. Maintenant, pour le cas qui nous intéresse particulièrement, le cas du Gabon, hein, j'ai quand même, je dis, c'est un Philistin. Moi, j'ai été clair. Moi, j'ai félicité l'armée gabonaise. Moi, je ne vais pas me mentir. Je suis un homme politique. J'ai pris position pour l'armée gabonaise. J'ai dit, j'ai félicité le coup d'État. Contrairement au coup d'État du Niger, que je n'ai pas félicité. Parce que le coup d'État du Niger est un coup d'État constitutionnel. Parce que j'estime qu'au Niger, Bazoum, qui était au pouvoir, fait que 2 ans. C'est pas lui c'est pas lui qui était comptable, hein, des contrats de la France, c'est pas lui qui était comptable de la misère du peuple nigérien. Donc, il aurait fallu qu'on lui laisse d'abord gouverner même 1 mandat, 2 mandats et qu'il y ait ce coup d'État. Mais quand on est venu faire un coup d'État, on dit que non, c'est mal gouvernance. Alors que celui qui a fait le coup d'État a servi le régime français et l'ancien régime dictatorial du Niger pendant 10 ans, 20 ans. Je me suis posé des questions. Qu'est-ce qu'on veut? Il suffit de faire un coup d'État, dit qu'on est le peuple. Non.
Est-ce que c'était déjà le temps pour lui de
sauver
sa nation?
Non, quel temps pour lui sauver? Donc,
j'arrive à comparer la situation.
C'est mon point de vue en tant qu'homme politique. J'ai mes convictions politiques. Le coup d'État du Niger, je n'ai pas été d'accord.
Est-ce qu'il y a le temps pour sauver un pays?
S'il vous plaît, c'est peut-être un bon point de vue. Ne m'interrompez pas.
Non, je pose juste la question. Est-ce qu'il y a un temps pour sauver un pays?
Ça, c'est votre analyse. Laissez-moi avoir mon point de vue. Je ne suis pas dans votre point de vue. Chacun ses points de vue. Vous dites que je suis pas d'accord avec le coup d'État du Niger. Par contre, j'étais d'accord avec le coup d'État qui s'est passé au Mali, qui s'est passé surtout en Guinée, où on a vu quelqu'un qui a pris le pouvoir, normalement, et qui devient dictateur. J'étais d'accord. Le coup d'État tchadien, je n'étais pas d'accord parce que j'estimais que la France a ouvert une boîte à Pandore. Dès que la France a admis un coup d'État constitutionnel au Tchad, alors la France a ouvert la boîte à Pandore. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes à 8 coups d'État en Afrique. En 3 ans, depuis Macron a fait 8 coups d'État, quand vous comptez, 8 coups d'État. Donc, je vais donc dire que aujourd'hui, dans le cas du Gabon, le coup d'État militaire, j'ai félicité d'abord un premier temps ce coup d'État militaire en disant oui, il était grand temps que la monarchie Gombo s'en aille, parce que j'étais au Gabon, je connais ce pays-là très bien. Ça fait plus de 60 ans qu'ils sont d'affaires, parce qu'il faut que Omar Bongo a été d'abord vice-président du Gabon, hein, au temps de l'ancien président, du tout premier président Liomba. Il était vice-président du Gabon. Donc Omar Bongo est aux affaires. C'était même lui le véritable président, parce que Liomba était malade. Des années 65, Liomba était malade. Omar Bongo a pris le pouvoir en 67. Hein. Donc Liomba était malade et c'est Ali Bongo même, c'est Omar Bongo qui avait même battu campagne lors des élections qui a permis à Liomba de remporter l'élection. Et à l'époque même il y avait aussi eu un coup d'État. La France avait intervenu. Donc je me suis dit, en tant qu'homme politique, qu'il était grand temps qu'on dise non à la monarchie gabonaise et que l'armée a fait du bon job. Mais au-delà de ça,
Je suis poser des questions en politique. Je suis un démocrate. Je me suis dit, quand l'armée vient vous faire comprendre que ils ont dit dans leur communiqué, ils ont dit que instabilité, qu'il y a eu des élections tronquées. Ça veut clairement dire.
Alex, attends, je te pose la question. Quand toi-même tu as regardé 30 000 personnes qui sont sorties au Niger.
Non, je suis au Niger, non. Je ne veux pas sur le Niger. Pourquoi on parle toujours au Niger?
I'm asking. Let me ask you the question. Alex,
allez-y.
When you see 30,000 plus people come out to support the military, and you are a Cameroonian, you are against.
J'arrive, je vais y arriver sur le Niger, au Gabon, je vais au Niger. Je vais donc vous dire que quand j'ai félicité le coup d'État,
c'est toi qui as mentionné.
Laissez-moi d'abord finir avec ce que je dis. Je vais revenir sur le Niger.
Vous avez une minute, Alex.
Vous voyez, je n'ai même pas parlé.
Vous avez une minute, il faut shooter, Alex.
Quand on ne parle pas du Niger, ça me l'énerve.
Il faut shooter.
Tu as parlé plus de 7 minutes.
Je peux même m'exprimer.
Shoot d'abord, Alex. Donc, je
veux donc dire, n'est-ce pas, s'il faut donc que je parle. Donc, ce qui m'a dérangé, bon, si vous ne pouvez pas parler du coup d'État du Niger, je vais vous dire clairement, le cas du Niger, j'ai été clair, je suis un démocrate. Il y a un président qui était élu démocratiquement, qui était opposant à l'ancien président du Niger, qui n'a fait que 2 ans au pouvoir. Il n'a pas le temps d'asseoir sa gouvernance. Maintenant, le monsieur qui a fait le coup d'État au Niger, c'était un colonel qui a fait plus de 20 ans au service de l'autre. D'ailleurs, aujourd'hui, on dit clairement que celui qui est derrière le coup d'État du Niger, c'est l'ancien président du Niger qui est derrière ce coup d'État-là. Donc, le monsieur qui a fait le coup d'État au Niger est un monsieur que à 62 ans, il va à la retraite conformément à la loi du Niger. Donc, il n'a pas voulu à la retraite, il a fait le coup d'État. Le coup d'État, à ce moment-là, n'avait pas le dire, parce que j'estime pour ma part, en tant qu'homme politicien, qu'on aurait dû. C'est un peu comme au Cameroun, vous voyez un peu, nous savons que le régime politique au Gabon, que Ondo, ça par exemple, ou bien au Cameroun, vous prenez pour sortir, vous prenez par exemple une personne comme le Edgard remporte l'élection, ou bien Cabral B remporte l'élection, ou bien Kamto, et il fait 2 ans. Vous voyez maintenant quelqu'un comme Bankui venez faire un coup d'État après en disant que non, il veut sauver le Cameroun. Mais de quoi est-ce qu'on parle? Vous se passer au Niger, ça dit en fait, quelqu'un qui a servi le peuple nigérien, du Niger, pendant longtemps, vient vous faire comprendre après 2 ans d'une transition démocratique, que le coup d'État qu'il avait sauvé parce qu'il vient vous dire qu'il est anti-français. Alors que, maintenant, permettez-moi donc.
Alex, vous avez 10 minutes.
Bon, maintenant pour sortir donc, pour sortir donc.
Non, Alex, you cannot. No, Jarvis, don't go that route. I have a question for you that concerns the outing. No, not EU. The one concerning President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria. He said he's watching the developments in Gabon very closely with deep concern for the country's socio-political stability and the seeming autocratic contagion apparently spreading across different regions of the beloved continent. He went ahead to say the president is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union towards a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward when it comes to the situation in Gabon.
He who goes to equity must go with clean hands. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if they are watching us right now in Nigeria, my message is now, since you have asked me about Nigeria, Tinubu himself is unconstitutional if we look at following the situation in Nigeria. And the electoral process of Nigeria is not completed. The electoral process of Nigeria February will only be completed when the Supreme Court gives the final verdict following the post-electoral petition. Let me start with what he is saying. Lasha, where was Tinubu Bola Ahmed when internet was cut off in Gabon? Why did Bola Ahmed Tinubu not send out a condemnation that the seizure of internet in Gabon is a constitutional right violation of the peace-loving people of Gabon? Where was he?
Gabonese president gave reason that he did not want. No, I'm reading from the reason why he.
Yeah, no, we are understanding.
Yes, that
always cooked up reasons.
He does not want the misinformation. He does not want the population to take the social media.
Let me learn. Yes. Which one is misinformation? Who defines misinformation?
To give elections results.
Who defines misinformation? Nigeria, who had the elections? their election was internet cut off. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, African Union were supposed to have wholeheartedly condemned the seizure of internet, because we are not only looking at the aspect of election, we are also looking at the economy, the health of the people. Internet play a key role in the economy. Those who are doing electronic transaction, those who are dealing with emails, those who are doing buying and selling online. So you have destabilized the economy, violate taxpayers. People pay their taxes to use their internet service under the guise of misinformation. Where has misinformation landed a president out of power in Africa? That was the first. Bola Ahmed Tinubu in himself should be careful, because there could be a coup d'etat against him. I am saying this with all ingredients of analysis. Number one, when the February elections took place in Nigeria, look at all the military bases. Did Tinubu win all the military bases in Nigeria? How many military bases were in Nigeria? He did not win the military bases in the Federal Capital Territory. To tell you that it's an indication that the military, they are watching. Second, the post-electoral petition process is not yet completed as in Nigeria. It is only completed when the Supreme Court will give their final judgment whether he was validly elected or not. So Tinubu should be quiet at this moment and pray that the Constitutional Council or their own electoral petition.
But he has immunity already.
Lasha, there is nothing like immunity. The Nigeria election process gives room for a president to be sworn in, even when the election 25% of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not have this 25%. That is still in court today. And the judgment of the first year, this election
saying that he doesn't have the
he doesn't have the constitutional mandate to say anything about election, about any country, because he himself is unconstitutional. You cannot, when I talk about unconstitutional, I'm talking about the full mandate. He has not had the full mandate. We are talking about legitimate. He does not have the full mandate. So Tinubu himself coming out to say that he's monitoring as who? As somebody who validly who has completed the post-electoral process. Like I'm saying this from the post-electoral process, that you can only, like, for example, when the Constitutional Council sit in Cameroon and declares a candidate, that this candidate was the one that won the election after the petition, that is when we say the election is over.
Is complete.
It's completed. But as long as that process is still ongoing, the President Tinubu, ECOWAS unconstitutionally made him the chairman. ECOWAS violated Nigeria's constitution, because ECOWAS would have waited for the constitutional or the election tribunal petition to rule in without interfering. ECOWAS has interfered with Nigeria election process by putting Bola Ahmed Tinubu in picture. I asked you this the other day, that on Monday, that now that Gabon Bongo has taken internet off, where is African Union? Let me tell you, Musa Faki, let me start with Musa Faki. Musa Faki, the chairperson of African Union, is in no place to issue out a statement, because what happened in Chad, Musa Faki did not react in Chad. Chad was unconstitutional. Macron was in Chad to give his blessing. What is good for the Ganda is also good for these other people. So Musa Faki first is powerless. Second, Macky Sall has no legitimate power to even open his mouth to talk about constitutionality. Why I say so is because he attempted to thwart the constitution. The fact that you attempt to thwart the constitution, the main opposition party leader in his country, where is he? Where is his party? I don't want to go by the phenomenon that people say he's cheating or what. His party was taken off. Come to in Ivory Coast, the other president of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, he's unconstitutional to talk about what is happening in Congo and Gabon, because what brought him in power, he thwarted the constitution to seek for a third mandate, and 50+ people died in Abidjan. Until now, African Union did not sanction him, ECOWAS did not sanction him. Let us come now to the other African countries. What is happening in Nigeria is the same thing that Tinubu has no right. If you look at all these African leaders, their hands are dirty. And so they go to their jungle group to sit and say, let us sit and support our own. The truth of the matter here is that the military persons in Africa, Lasha, all of them have families who are in the quarters, neighbors and brothers. I want to ask you this: can a military officer, basic officer or police officer, without taking bribe, rely only on his salary in Congo, in Libreville, in Equatorial Guinea, in Cameroon, in wherever African country, the French African country, can that local military person without taking bribe send a child to a good school in Cameroon or in Africa. Send a child to that good school. Second, can that military officer send a child or open a good business with a basic salary that that person earns? Let's be clear. Our tactics, home packages cannot take us home. We are not clamoring for coup d'etat. I hate coup d'etat personally. I hate it. But however, they say when the preferable is not available, you work with the available to become the preferable. Okay. Sometimes even a goat when pushed to the wall can bite, and that's what we're experiencing.
Okay, Ndiwum, I come to you now. Let me take you to China. We are going to China now to talk about the Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Wang Wenbin came out to say that China is closely following the development of the situation in Gabon and calls on relevant parties in Gabon to focus on the fundamental interests of the country and the people, resolve differences peacefully through dialogue and restore normal order as soon as possible, and also ensure the personal safety of President Bongo, maintain national peace, stability, and overall development of the country. That's the position of China.
Well,
they are interested in the safety of the president. They're very much interested in the safety.
Well, as much as they're interested in the safety of Bongo, I'm very much interested in the safety of the Gabonese, the citizens of that nation. China could be talking from, I don't know how to put it, but we all know how these things are when they call their geopolitics or whatsoever. I don't understand how, like Tamai said a while ago, China is talking now because Bongo has been taken off. I am not sure that if Bongo was still there, China would have come in to say, no, Bongo lost this election. We are thinking that they could do second round election, or we are thinking that. So all of these things, you see that everybody is talking from the point of interest. China is talking from the point of interest to attract some attention. Because at this particular time, everybody will have to show interest. That interest is not even directed. I'm not even sure that China is interested at Bongo himself. They want to draw the attention of those who have taken up power to know that at least we have interest. In diplomacy, I am not an expert, but I was made to understand that what is said in the open space is not what operates behind the curtains. There are two mouths. The mouth that speaks in the open space has a different language and a different interpretation. And what obtains behind the stage, the language behind the stage, is different. That in their diplomatic language. But I want to believe that, like the first topic of today, the day that you first proposed, when I was struggling to find out about military bases in Africa, I discovered something, that the Chinese military base in Africa is growing by the day in Africa presently.
Do you have one in Cameroon?
Well, there are plans for. Something is cooking. But since we are not into that, I am saying that yes. So I am telling you that there is a lot of things that at times we speak with reservations for some reason. But I'm telling you, if China is coming out to talk about the safety of Bongo, only the spokesman, whether you say Wing knows exactly knows exactly the position of their interests that can be enjoyed in Gabon. That notwithstanding, I wanted to say something before it runs off my mind. Mm-hmm. The junta that the junta that has taken off power, that has taken over power, if they were to do a favor, any foreign country like China calling for the safety of Bongo should equally freeze Bongo's accounts overseas. Freeze that of the wife, the children, and the family. Because the colossal sums that must have been packed somewhere there, we need that money now to refix Gabon. Because one of the things that is making some of these people, when they have amassed a lot of wealth and they're not even aware of how much they have again, that is the same wealth they are using to stay on in power. So when we successfully remove them from power, let's first of all collect that wealth. Let it not be that the phenomenon of Cameroon have contaminated Gabon, where you are told that a minister stole 75 million and you are the next response is that no, and he ended in Konegi without recovering the money. The accounts of Bongo and the close allies should be freezed first, and the money brought back to the Gabonese treasury.
Okay, Dr. Michael Ndimacho, I'm taking you now to another very difficult world. This one, we are talking about Russia. No, Russia. Russia Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova also spoke on the situation in Gabon. She said Moscow has received with concern reports of a sharp deterioration in the internal situation in the friendly African country. We continue to closely monitor the development of the situation and hope for its speedy stabilization. This is Russia speaking.
Yeah, you want to give my opinion on what Russia is?
Yes, Russia. We are talking about interest now. You said at the beginning of the program that the coup was staged. To you, you consider it as something that was cooked up. But now you have people coming in, giving their opinion. Now this is Russia talking. How do you interpret the message of Russia?
Of course, Russia can only give its own interest-based statement as far as the coup is concerned. But you know that what we say is that the e-lock of someone could create the lock of another. This is what is very, very important. Perhaps if...
Scramble for Gabon.
Yes, the scramble for Gabon may have if, you know, one of the bone of contention with that Bongo had with France was that Bongo went now for partnership elsewhere, where France didn't want. He went to China. And that's why you find that China too is talking with China has a heavy heart. What has happened to Bongo? Let us say, in terms of diplomacy, in terms of politics, in terms of cooperation, China has a very heavy heart because Bongo turned to China when he wanted to go away from France. That is the fact. And now you know of Russia wanting also to get grounds in Central African region. I would not want to say that the Wagner group is part of what happened in Gabon, but I think that Russia is a very, very strategic partner in terms of what? The military, arms, ammunition, and all of those. And intelligence. And therefore, it is a point like this. Knowing that Mali, there is Russia, and you know, Mali has an uncontested coup d'etat. I mean, uncontested means that what? People who are neck to neck with them to say that, Goita, you have to go down. Nobody, are you hearing anything about that? That is what? A lesson to Gabon from what Russia is sending across as a message to know that we are a strategic partner as far as military is. Yeah, and we are there. If you want any help, we are ready for you, and we are ready to extend you a hand. If you want us to give an example, look at Mali. That is where we are. If you want us to give an example, look at, even in places like Central African Republic, Russia is there. And so Russia wants to take hold of what is happening, in Central and in Africa as a whole, knowing that France, in one way, that is what Africans they think, France has failed, and therefore they want to look for another strategic partner, since we think that we cannot stand alone. So I think that message is resounding, and it is for the new junta to take a decision that is strategic for it. Mind you that it is not enough. There should be a coup d'etat within the coup d'etat that has happened in Gabon. What do I mean? I started in this program by saying that it is not finished, and to say that the real coup d'etat will be when the Gabonese, when those who have staged the coup, actually are free to decide in Gabon. Because as of now, we are saying that it's tailored. France is behind it, and that they should take it as an opportunity to shake off France from that control that they have.
Agreement is agreement.
Yeah, well, that is what I'm saying. And you know, we are going back to a period whereby we had the dictator, and we said here that Africans were ready for independence and not for democracy. And this is what they are going back to. They are going back, they are accepting the fact that they were independent, but that the issue of democracy was not our issue. And I'm sure that they are going to form an association of military juntas in Africa now, so that they team up. Yes, this is what is going to happen. They are going to form an association of military juntas, because one thing that has happened that Africa is not free today is because they were working individually and they are afraid.
We have already eight of them.
Exactly, they are growing up in number, and that message from Russia is now telling them that you have our backup, team up, and we are going to come to support you. And it is not finished. Then my Jarvis was talking about issue of 10 months. I'm seeing something much more closer. Yes, it's closer. Yes, mind you, it will not happen in Central Africa alone, because it's like football now. We have we have 4 goals in ECOWAS, and we have just 1 in CEMAC. You know that the 4 goals is what? Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinea. Those are 4 goals, but we have only scored 1 in Central Africa. We need to balance up. So it shows that something is cooking up, and it is, I must say, it is a pity, but it is a fact. This is how we grew up, that territories or communities might, through what they were able to, the fighting that they were able to do, and to impose for their people. And I think that, as I said, this is the time for these people to cooperate. Since the West has maltreated, fooled, misused, deceived our civilian leaders, I think at least they will respect our military rulers, and they will respect them much more if they come together as a team. Remember, they were easily caught when they were individuals. They would get here and catch you again. But now, coming as a team, let me tell you, this is a new revival. This is a new emphasis for Africa.
Also the ECAS, because Gabon is part of ECAS.
Exactly.
ECAS now, which involve Niger, Cameroon.
That is it. So, and now you see, many countries now are running there. But we should know, Cameroon is just border country with Gabon. And what is happening in Gabon should naturally have a direct effect in Cameroon. And therefore, we cannot stay indifferent to that.
Sanction them.
Yes, exactly. Be it with the population, because if something happened, because I said, as I said, not finished, and we are going to have the spillover here in Cameroon, and that is why I said when I was coming in the studio, we saw this happening. So you said it was a coincidence, and I said this is a very holy coincidence, and a strategic coincidence that we want to have.
Sometimes things happen.
Yeah, of course, and it's a holy coincidence, and that we need to live up to those kind of coincidences in life. And as you said, Russia wants to come and see the marriage and baptize, and tell the African leaders and the juntas who are coming together already, because I know they are cooperating now, that go get on and take up what is yours now. And I think that one of the most important things that they have now is that they have the support, they have the courage, and it's an issue of one for all and all for one.
Okay. Yes, Alex. We are eating.
Oui. Je vais dire, ici, on a des postures différentes sur ces choses-là. Je veux dire qu'il y a eu coup d'État en moins de 3 ans, 2 coups d'État au Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinée, Gabon, vous avez le Zimbabwe, vous avez le Soudan. Ça fait 8 coups d'État, 2 au Mali. Donc aujourd'hui, il est clair que les coups d'État se vont en répétition. Ici, ça va sur 8 ans, on voit qu'il y a plus de 15 coups d'État en Afrique. Mais seulement quand on fait des études de ces coups d'État, on se rend compte que chaque fois que l'armée a pris le pouvoir, comme au cas du Zimbabwe, jamais ils ont restitué le pouvoir aux civils, comme le cas de l'Égypte. Au contraire, ça a été tous des régimes dictatoriaux qui sont installés, parce qu'en fait, les civils ont toujours eu leurs droits bafoués. Donc c'est ça la réalité en fait. Il ne faudrait pas qu'on se fasse l'analyse en pensant que bon, c'est vrai qu'aujourd'hui, avec les 8 coups d'État qui sont en Afrique subsaharienne, on peut dire qu'on a l'impression que je vois des personnes qui sont là, des anti-français et des pro-Poutine. mais Poutine n'est rien d'autre qu'un dictateur. Je ne vois pas un pays où la Russie s'est implantée. En fait, pour moi, la Russie, pour ceux qui sont des pro-russes, c'est que pour moi, c'est bonnet blanc, bonnet. C'est-à-dire que Russie et France sont pareils. La Russie reste ses intérêts. Ils vont vous faire croire que tant qu'il y aura une dictature en Afrique, ils vont supporter. Donc, pour moi, ce n'est pas ça. Je reviens sur le coup d'État gabonais. Ce qui m'intéresse le plus, c'est quoi? C'est qu'en fait, moi, j'ai aimé le coup d'État gabonais. Je vous ai dit, contrairement au coup d'État, à d'autres coups d'État, j'ai aimé le coup d'État gabonais. Et maintenant, ce qui dérange, c'est quoi? C'est que l'armée ici ne joue que ses intérêts. Hein? J'ai beaucoup d'amis qui sont lieutenants, qui sont au Gabon. Je connais beaucoup de 10 personnes qui sont amis gabonaises. Donc, ces gens avec qui j'ai vraiment des relations, je connais très bien de quoi je parle. Ils ne jouent que leurs intérêts parce que quand vous avez suivi le communiqué de l'armée qui dit élection tronquée, c'est clair que selon l'armée, Ali Bongo a perdu l'élection. Si l'armée voulait être une armée républicaine, ok, l'armée aurait pu faire que dire qu'il y a un coup d'État, mais nous voulons la vérité des urnes. Faire à ce que les vrais résultats puissent être dévoilés et que Ondo ça prenne le pouvoir. Mais lorsque l'armée, tout de suite, fait un coup d'État et que naturellement le peuple gabonais ne veut plus de la monarchie, on dit souvent que quand le serpent, quand vous noyez, hein, quand vous noyez et que vous voyez même le serpent, accrochez-vous sur deux pour aller au rive, après vous bagarrez le serpent. Donc le peuple gabonais aujourd'hui veut le changement. Donc naturellement, c'est normal que les gens sortent dans les rues, même en Niger, les gens sortent, dès qu'on dit qu'on est anti-français, les gens n'ont pas de travail à cause des étrangers, à cause des Français. C'est normal, situation populaire, je dis c'est normal. Okay. Voilà pourquoi est-ce qu'ils ont besoin de cela. Maintenant, quand on est démocrate, comme je le suis, on se dit, ok, coup d'État militaire, d'accord, mais l'histoire nous enseigne que coup d'État militaire n'ont apporté que déshonneur, désastre, pauvreté en Afrique. Les armées qui viennent se servent plutôt des caisses d'État et quand l'armée prend le pouvoir, soyons sûrs, si votre voisin est militaire qui courtise votre femme, vous le dites non, il vous prend, il vous garde dans un camp militaire, vous ne plaît nulle part. Voilà ce qui s'est passé en fait. C'est pour dire que n'importe quel militaire aura tous les pouvoirs au Gabon aujourd'hui. Un militaire arrache votre femme, vous plaignez quelque part dans ceux qui ont le pouvoir. C'est ça la réalité. Donc, parce que l'armée ne respecte pas les lois. C'est une réalité. Donc, en tant que démocrate, ce que j'attends même d'un communiqué des partis politiques d'opposition comme le nôtre et des plateformes de l'opposition, c'est qu'il faudrait plutôt apporter le soutien à la plateforme d'opposition gabonaise. Dire à l'armée d'aller pour le coup d'État, c'est bien, mais on sort d'un processus électoral et la raison pour laquelle vous avez évoqué le coup d'État, vous estimez qu'Ali Bongo n'est pas le véritable vainqueur de cette élection et qu'il a tronqué les élections. Donc l'armée revient donc rétablir la vérité des urnes. Parce qu'ici, la dévolution du pouvoir est donnée au peuple, pas à travers la force. L'armée n'est que l'enfant du peuple. La dévolution du pouvoir se donne au travers des urnes. Et si donc, il y a eu donc un coup d'État électoral qui s'est produit et que les urnes ont dit que c'est le pouvoir qui avait gagné, je voudrais que les démocrates comme moi, disons, faisons bloc à l'opposition gabonaise et demandons à l'armée que de faire une transition de 2 ans où ils vont commencer à faire sortir, à faire émerger les sentiments anti-français parce qu'on va se passer et pro-russe pour justifier leur maintien au pouvoir, que l'armée gabonaise nous dise aujourd'hui que ok, on va vous lire les vrais résultats et qu'on proclame le véritable vainqueur de je le parle en tant que politicien et je le dis, je parle en tant que démocrate. Aujourd'hui,
Lasha, I want us, we are educating Cameroonians. Yes. Let's be clear. The election process in Gabon was between the two persons. The military comes in now as an oversight and says it was frauded. Now, it will be unconstitutional for the military to proclaim the opposition as the winner. Let's look at legitimacy.
Et c'est constitutionnel que l'armée vient dire que c'est pas Alex,
non. Le moment où tu parlais, j'étais écouté. Tu vas être démocrate. Tu n'as pas un démocrate. Non, tu n'as pas démocrate. C'est mon lait de parole. Non, tu n'as pas démocrate. You are not democratic. No, Alex, when you were talking, these are the kind of leaders I want us to go and elect in Cameroon. No, these are the kind of leaders. Because you have to respect my opinion. No, Jarvis, when we're talking, I did not.
Jarvis, yes, give your point.
My point is, you cannot ask the military to install the opposition, claiming that since the military has said it was a frauded election. The truth here is, how was it frauded? We have not known how it was frauded. We have not also known the mechanism under which they say it was frauded. Secondly, so it is but constitutional or legal for the military to dissolve the institution and see how they can put in a credible election commission to conduct fresh election. What we should be calling here for the military is to tell us that within 9 months they can reconstitute the election cycle, because let me tell you, even Ali Bongo has his supporters that still believe they won the election. So if you bring in now the opposition, you cannot take it away from them. I said they have their supporters. You are not the supporter, Alex. They have their supporters that still believe they won the election. So if you remove Lasha, if you say Lasha frauded and Jarvis did not fraud, so therefore they should appoint Jarvis, you are telling us that there's also the future. They say the future will say that France went through the military to impose this person as a president.
Okay,
don't
Jarvis,
get that twisted.
Yeah,
so I expect Alex to respect people's opinion, because when he talks, people don't interfere.
Thank you for coming. Our time is up. Our
it's not a debate.
Thank you. Ndiwum Emmanuela, thank you for coming. Our time is up. Thank you for coming, Ndiwum.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure having you.
And I want to take this time to greet my mother, who is here in Douala watching this program live at this particular moment.
Thank you for coming. Jarvis, thank you too for coming.
Thank you, and like I told you before, Semak will not say anything. When it happened in ECOWAS, we had a quick response. Now it has happened in Semak. We are yet to see, and I told you that other bodies will react before Semak will react. Have you heard the communiqué from Semak?
Alex Nguepi, thank you for coming.
Oui, merci. Et je tiens à dire, je suis d'accord avec Jarvis sur le par rapport à la CEMAC, qui vont rester muets. Ils vont rester muets comme une tombe. C'est qu'il n'y a pas une solidarité là-bas. Donc, je vais juste rappeler au peuple gabonais que le pouvoir vous appartient. L'armée a fait un premier pas. Vous devez faire le reste, car au final, c'est vous qui avez le pouvoir au Gabon, et faites tout pour conserver ce pouvoir-là, pour que le prochain président soit un président démocratiquement élu et qui va servir l'intérêt du peuple, non l'intérêt d'une fraction du peuple.
Thank you. Dr. Michael Ndimacho, thank you too for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me, Mr. Lasha. And I think that it is beautiful that in Africa in the 21st century we are talking about coup d'etats. And we say this with a lot of regret, but it's just that we say that when you are drowning and you find a snake, you hang on it, because we find ourselves in a mire where escape is chimerical, and we are asking ourselves, where do we go from here? But my pertinent fear is that we shouldn't run away from cool land to find ourselves in frost land, and therefore we enjoin Africans to have a calculated vision. It is not about shouting, yes, this I want, yes, to military juntas, but let us be able to shape our future. Let the African youth especially be able to know why they are taking power and make meaningful use of the power that they have. It is not important to shout that this military junta has taken over, but it is important to make meaning out of it, and that is why we cry. Thanks so much, Africa. May we get up from here and rise again. Mother Africa, Akeba land, the name Africa, the mother of humanity. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank you to televiewers of Media Prime Television for watching this other edition of Prime Hour that was dedicated to the situation in Gabon, neighboring Gabon, where the military junta is now in control of that country, announcing a transition of 2 years. The program for tonight was produced for us by Akeba, Desmond. I am Lasha Kingsley signing out. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Welcome to a new world of TV broadcasting.